Hello there, Gemini, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Mary Sue, and I'm so grateful that you're here. So today I'm doing kind of a special reading for this month of September. We're ending the Virgo season and getting ready to enter Libra season, and we'll do that on September 21st with the fall equinox. So we have a lot happening here. And in Virgo season, we are still working on releasing, energies, emotions, healing wounds from the past, and then getting ready to embrace that Libra energy of more exciting and more balanced energy. So it's kind of the next couple of weeks could be a little rough as, some of those old wounds or emotions are coming up, getting ready to finally be released and go step into the Libra season. So today we're going to be asking Spirit, what else do you need to kind of release? What advice that they have, what obstacles or areas of resistance you may have. And then, we'll kind of take a look at what Libra season is bringing in for you. So if you're enjoying this message or resonating with it, I would also love for you to please consider like, sharing, or subscribing. I really appreciate all the support you give my channel. Okay, let's get into it. So we're first going to take a look at your overall energies, past, present, and future. We'll take a look with the oracle cards and then we'll get into the details with the tarot. So let's see what you have in your past. Come to the edge, Fool's energy, realizing that you need to go on a new path, wanting to go onto a new path. So let's see what else we have. Chaos and conflict. I kind of had that. Kind of like you're ready to start on a new path, but then something is kind of coming up. This is the Virgo season. This is your present energy. And you may be feeling this for the next couple of weeks. Just kind of like emotions suddenly coming up and you're like, where did that come from? I'm trying to go on this new path. I'm working on moving forward. And then it's like, bam, something triggers you. And then all that glitters. Interesting because this card indicates this is your future. Recognizing that part of this journey, part of what you're trying to release is that you understand that sometimes we put on masks or we're drawn to things that are glittery, right? But it doesn't mean that it's necessarily authentic. And I think that the chaos and conflict that you may be going through right now or over the next couple of weeks is helping you. You may have feelings of jealousy or envy over what somebody else has or the life that they have. And this is just momentarily. Like you've started on this new path, possibly like a more spiritual path. You may have even like eliminated a lot of materialistic things in your life and you're going on a more spiritual path, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like, I don't know, one of your friends suddenly buys a new house or buys a new car or gets a shiny new boyfriend or something like that, and it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute, because we're all kind of like drawn to the materialistic in some way, and you have kind of like stepped off of that path and onto something more spiritual, and then all of a sudden it's like something comes up. It's kind of like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I really do want more of that materialistic. But in the future, what you're realizing is that the shiny stuff, right? The when we purchase things, not for the joy of it, but for the status of it, or how we think it's going to make us feel, or the position it'll put us in. When we choose those things, we're not choosing from a sense of authenticity. And I think you're really kind of like having this moment over the next 2 weeks where you're kind of like torn, but then it's like you truly step into this energy of, no, I really do want to go on my authentic path. You're feeling very blessed for what you have in your life and knowing that you are moving forward in the direction that you need to go in. It's kind of like a checks and balances type of energy. Really interesting. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. We have the sun, 7th chakra, and yin yang. Contract on the bottom. So I think for some of you, I'm getting a sense that this could be a soul contract that you have with somebody, like a soulmate that comes and triggers this sense, because look at, you are in this really wonderful energy, and you could still be in this energy, but this is kind of like, your past energy. And I would say like the beginning of Virgo season. You may have gone into Virgo season feeling extremely blessed, going on to this new spiritual path, kind of like really being excited about it, like embracing it in your heart, like knowing this is the direction you need to go in. And then like during Virgo season, your intuition is, you're kind of coming into this sense of, oh, am I on the right path? Maybe I really do want all those materialistic things. Why did I think I wanted to give up the fancy house, the fancy car, the fancy job, the fancy clothes, whatever it is that you may have felt like you no longer needed as you were going on the spiritual path? And it's kind of like this triggers you. But listening to your intuition, getting back into your heart space. If there is something that you gave up, say you I don't know, we'll go with the car. Say you had this really fancy car, and then you were kind of like, well, I don't really need that. I'm going to buy something more practical. And maybe you bought something more practical. And now all of a sudden you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Like your friend gets a fancy new car, right? And you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I really do need that in my life. Maybe that does make me happy, right? It's listening to your intuition and listening to your heart as far as what is it about that fancy car that I really like? Because that I'm not saying you can't have a fancy car, right? If you want the fancy car because it does bring you joy, true, authentic joy. It's part of your true identity, your authentic identity. Then yes, the fancy car is meant for you. But if you're only doing it because you want to be flashy, or you want to fit in with your flashy friends or something like that, then that's not authentic, right? It's kind of a mask. You're buying the fancy car to fit in with some sense that you feel external pleasure from, right? The stigma that you get from that, the status that you get from it. So it really is about, this Virgo season is helping you to realize, to realign yourself with your soul path, because look at this, this is bringing it into balance, is looking at, are there some things in the materialistic world that bring you true joy? Yes, there are. And it's about bringing that into balance. Looking at it and realizing some things I'm purchasing or may want to purchase or I'm envious about because, they're flashy. And if it's just flashy to get attention from the external world, then those are things I don't really want. Like my heart doesn't really desire those. But if it's something that brings me true joy, okay, then it is meant for me. And it's just about I think it's about bringing your materialistic wants, because we live in the 3D world. So there's nothing wrong with it. Is bringing it into more alignment with your soul path. And understanding that, we do live in a 3D world. There are things that we want. There are comforts that we want in the 3D world. But as long as we're choosing those things from our true authentic self, and not from the sense of trying to gain status or prestige or something else from the external world, then yes, it's meant for you. It's true and it's authentic to your soul. Okay, so we're going to take a look at your present energy, and I think it's going to have something to do with this chaos. Present energy, areas of resistance or obstacles, advice from spirit, and then the final outcome. But remember, Gemini, you have free will, so you can choose to do whatever you would like to do. 3 of Wands. Yeah, I think for some of you, you may have started on this soul path and really kind of embraced a spiritual journey. You may have even quit, like, a career, started a new career, gone on a completely new path. And it's kind of like, it's almost like you got joy and happiness out of it, but then for some reason during Virgo season you're like, yeah, but I also want abundance in 3D materialistic things. It's almost like a trigger for you, and you're kind of like waiting for the financial status to come with this new spiritual journey. It could be that, you started on this new spiritual path and you thought, well, the financial will come. If I'm on the true path, the financial part will come. And maybe it hasn't quite yet come. You're still waiting for it, right? And while you're waiting for it, maybe, your friends are, you know getting higher paying jobs or something like that, like they're progressing in the materialistic world, and you're kind of like, yeah, where's mine? But it's not like a test. It's like helping you to come into a better balance of balancing your 3D and your like 5D world, your spiritual path, as well as the path that we have to also take on in the 3D. Yeah, Chariot, you're having a hard time progressing, moving forward. I almost feel like you're kind of questioning, your choice. It's almost like you're kind of questioning it. It's kind of, the Virgo season is bringing up some of that, what you have left behind. You may be concentrating on what you've lost because you've gone onto the spiritual path instead of what you're gaining, okay? And then your advice, Ace of Cups. Yeah, get back into your heart. Get back into the space that helped you to step onto this path, and really embrace it. Feel it in your heart. It sometimes means that you have to, either journal about the things that you've lost and the things that you're gaining, or perhaps, just really having almost a heart to heart. I feel like this is you loving yourself, you loving your decision to go into this more spiritual path. The other thing is that sometimes when we step onto the spiritual path, we do have people in our life that, are still more in the materialistic world, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? You maybe have awakened to a higher level than other people in your life, but it's sometimes difficult to have friends that haven't awakened, right? And you see what they're gaining in the materialistic world, and then you're kind of like, okay, I'm on the spiritual path, I'm embracing it, but look at what I've lost. It's that kind of sense. And that's totally normal, right? It's totally normal. But this is the universe just saying, yeah, get back into loving yourself, loving your choice that you've made, realizing that you're still at the beginning of this journey. And I don't mean that you've just stepped onto your spiritual path, but it's kind of like, I feel like you have ascended, you're at a new level, and it's almost like, yeah, you have to put your love out into the world. It's a really nice message. And then page wands. Yeah, through this, you are learning something new. You're able to look at materialistic things in a different light. In the future, you're going to look at those things, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to want some shiny objects, right? But it's kind of like you're going to be choosing them from a much more balanced energy. You're not going to be choosing them for the status that they bring you. You're going to be choosing them because they bring true joy to you. It's about taking action on the things that bring you true joy. And then on the bottom, Ace of Wands, lots of new energy here. You're definitely stepping onto, I feel like during this Virgo season, Gemini, you may be, ascending, which really can, be, also bring up a lot of emotions and triggers for you. And it can be kind of a difficult energy. So really have compassion for yourself. Really love yourself. Love the path that you have chosen. And know, the energy here is that you are definitely on the right path. And you have stepped into a new cycle. And so as you step into this new cycle, or get ready to step into this new cycle, there are things that you need to leave behind. And it could be materialistic things, but it's also belief systems. What did you really value about the shiny things that you had in your life before? What was it that you really enjoyed about them? You know, um, and when you get kind of like truthful, I feel like you look at that, really see how they have the magnifying glass. When you really look at that deeply, then you're going to learn the lesson out of that. You're going to get the clarity that you need so that you can step forward. Yeah, Page of Swords underneath that. Getting really clear. Looking at the past with sweet memories. Like, I mean, like, before you stepped on the spiritual path. Once you truly step onto the spiritual path and you're awakened, you can't go back. But kind of like looking back at it as almost like it's definitely another chapter in your life, but almost like a different version of you. And looking back at that and having sweet memories of that, not feeling regret or remorse or guilt or shame about the shiny things that you did have in the past. Because that could be part of this chaos and conflict, is having a little bit of shame. Yeah, I used to be like that. Like, and just kind of like getting into that energy. And it's kind of like, no, that was part of your journey. To have the shiny things was part of your journey. Okay, we're going to go ahead and clarify the cards on the table. So let's start with this Three of Wands, King of Swords, Queen of Wands, Eight of Wands, Ten of Cups. I think for some of you, you may be getting really clear about your path, getting, kind of excited about it. Eight of Wands, is taking action on it. But I also get a sense that there is a soulmate, okay? Somebody that, you are kind of looking at, and look at the difference. There's a big difference between the King of Swords and the Queen of Wands. And I'm going to say that you are more in this Queen of Wands energy, getting really passionate about life. Look at this, really excited about this new life that you're embarking on. And you could get some information, some or a message from a King of Swords, and gender doesn't matter. But to me, this could be somebody from the past, because we do have the Six of Cups on the bottom. Somebody on the path, that was on your path previously, okay? And it could be an air sign, so that would be another Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. But it's kind of like you're seeing the difference between the two worlds. The Queen of Wands is just passionate about life, living from the heart space, embracing life, having a lot of joy and happiness. This is the Queen of Wands energy, like just going for it. Just like, just a really creative, grounded, but at the same time just charismatic. And the King of Swords is somebody that's really kind of analytical, can be very materialistic, can be kind of like cut and dry, very stubborn in their ways. And it's kind of like, I think you're kind of seeing either your life now and your life in the past, or who you are now and who you were in the past, or who you are now and the person you were with in the past. And it's kind of like, because we have the Ten of Cups here, somebody's trying to take action perhaps to even kind of like reunite the two of you. But what this conflict is, and this intuition is that you're seeing that this person, like I feel like this King of Swords could have also had money, financial status, was able to provide this the glittery things. And you're kind of like having to decide, how am I going to move forward with this? Because you want to progress. I think it's like your soul is asking you to progress. And I feel like for some of you, like you have stepped onto your spiritual path, and life is ebbs and flows, right? And you may just, be kind of like, kind of like in a little bit of a downturn, but it's not going to last long. Like it really isn't. Like it's over by the end of Virgo season. So 2 weeks at the most. You're trying to move on in your spiritual path, but it's kind of like this older materialistic path is calling back to you. And it could be even this person from the past, or it could be even a friend or something that, hey, why are you doing what you're doing? Look at what I got. I got all these shiny things around me. And you're kind of seeing the clarity in that. But at the same time, there's part of you that's like, yeah, I really gave that up. And what do I have now? So let's see. You're trying to, oh my goodness. Yeah, lots of fear. 2 of Cups. I think a lot of you know that this person that you may have been with in the past, whether this is a really close friend, this is definitely a soulmate. Or if this is, even a twin flame, because we have the 2 of Cups here, could be a twin flame connection. Like you're seeing the difference in the 2 of you, but you're kind of like still drawn to this person. There's a lot of anguish. You want to move forward, and yet at the same time, it's almost like you wish this person would also awaken so you could go on this path together. It's this energy of not wanting to go on your spiritual path, to follow your soul's purpose, and at the same time, like realizing that, what you are leaving behind. And yet knowing intuitively, right? Because you have the intuition, knowing intuitively that you can't really go back to that, to that life, that you have kind of stepped into a new world. There's something, and with the yin and yang, I feel like you're going to have, your divine masculine and feminine, we all have both of those within us coming into balance. But also I feel like you're going to meet a soulmate that is also on this journey with you. Okay, so let's see what this Ace of Cups is. 4 of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, Lovers. Look at this. 3 of Wands again. Yeah, there's a true soulmate here. I feel like you have a new person possibly coming onto your path. This is, Spirit letting you know that, you may feel that as you're stepping onto the spiritual path, sometimes we do have to eliminate relationships in our life because they're just no longer serving us. And then we get to this point where it's kind of like, okay, so who is going to be in my life? And, you're like, okay, the Queen of Wands is actually okay all by herself. She's single and fine with it and all of that. But it's kind of like, yeah, but, am I giving up on love? Am I going to walk on this path all by myself? Like this person from the past may reach out and you're kind of like, well, maybe I should take that, because if I don't, will I just never have love? But here it is. It's kind of like working on you, working on your soul's purpose. Like, I don't think you stepped onto this path and didn't have an idea of what you wanted to do. You may be kind of like disconcerted with it right now. It's kind of like it's not bringing in the satisfaction. It's not bringing in the financial stability that you thought it would. And you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm working on this. I'm working on my spiritual path, but it's not fulfilling all of my needs. And it's kind of like, it's okay. You have a true soulmate that's coming onto your path. You've made the right choice. If you're kind of wondering, have I made the right choice? You have definitely made the right choice. You're on the right path. What you don't realize is that there is a lot of joy and love ahead for you. You're just kind of like in this little lull. Let's just call it that. A little lull, Gemini. It's not going to last forever. It's part of the ebb and flow of life. That's part of what you're learning. When we live in the materialistic world, right? When we feel like we're in a lull, right? And we're just kind of like, oh, ho hum, my life is just boring, right? What do? We go out and we buy something new, right? We go shopping. Not everybody, but there's things that we do in that old life that bring us instant gratification. Let's put it that way, right? And you're kind of realizing that that instant gratification, those shiny things, really didn't bring balance into your life. It gave you a boost, but it was just temporary. And now you're learning how to navigate and understand that life just has ebbs and flows. It's just part of life. And just because you're kind of in a little bit of a lull doesn't mean that you need to go out and buy something shiny and new. It's about getting more into your heart space and looking at the joy that you are creating in your life and getting back into that instead of allowing your ego, your mind to race through and say, hey, we got to go buy something shiny. Being really blessed and grateful for what you have in your life and really kind of loving what you have in your life instead of kind of being like, oh, I think I'm bored with my life, right? Getting back into this energy of loving the life that you have created because you do have blessed here. Now, let's take a look at this page of wands. Wow, 8 of cups, the world. Yeah, you are stepping onto a new, it's totally into your new life. You're learning how to navigate in this new spiritual journey. You're definitely, the 8 of cups to me is walking your soul's path. You're walking it, you're kind of like almost forgiving yourself for the things that you may I'm laughing because they're giving me this message. You're actually apologizing to yourself for the sadness that you may have temporarily felt, like the envy, the jealousy of what other people have. You're kind of like, okay, you know what? There's going to be times where I am envious. We are spirit in human bodies, right? And sometimes, that ego just comes into play and it's okay. Like that is part of the experience, right? This is, the school of life. And there's going to be times where we're going to feel sad because maybe we don't have the shiny things or we understand. I think it's more like you understand that the shiny things don't really bring you the joy that you may have thought that they did, right? Because you're in a whole new world now, right? You've stepped into this new world. You're understanding, you're bringing balance into all of the confusion of looking at all the different shiny things. And you're kind of really understanding, you're getting the knowledge. And so I feel like during this Virgo season, you may be really kind of in this energy of, looking back, wondering, am I really on the right path? I feel like for some of you, there could be even a little bit of a financial lull right now, which is causing you to be even more triggered by all of this, right? You're kind of like, oh my goodness, have I done the right thing? But you have. You definitely have. Okay, here's your cosmic journey. Oh my goodness. Coming soon. Welcome to the next ascending age. Yeah, I really feel like, you had the world card on the bottom here. Bringing more balance, stepping into this new chapter. I really, I said it before, I feel like during this Virgo season, you are ascending at the same time as you're being triggered by some of this, energies from the past, looking at all of that. And trying to, navigate, like how can I be spiritual and navigate in this 3D world? And it is not easy. It really isn't, right? Because you do need money. Let's face it, we need money to buy the things, just the necessities. And it's like, okay, how do I navigate, having financial stability and also be spiritual? And a lot of people also feel like, well, I can't be spiritual and wealthy. Yes, you can. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because you've gone spiritual, on your spiritual path does not mean that you give up all the materialistic things. There are things that you eliminate from your life because they don't bring you joy and happiness. They're no longer for you as you step onto this new path. But it doesn't mean that you can't have materialistic things. You can't have shiny things. You're just choosing them from a much more balanced perspective. Okay, so here's your Lover's Oracle card. Trust. Transformation occurs through acceptance. Once you accept the current situation, it will automatically transform. For some of you, I kind of almost wonder if you're pushing too hard. It's kind of like almost expecting too much. You jumped into this new thing, and Gemini, you like things to happen, right? But kind of like stepping onto this path and expecting, like, for so long, you may have gone out and bought the shiny thing to bring you that instant gratification, right? And it's kind of like the spiritual path is sometimes not as instantly gratifying. It's a slower walk sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're not progressing, that you're not moving forward in your life. It's just that it's a different type of satisfaction, of joy, and of happiness. Well, Gemini, this was a really nice reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing it for you. And if you resonated with it, I would really appreciate it if you would consider sharing, or subscribing. And I wish you much love and light, especially over these next couple of weeks. And I hope to see you again really soon. Bye for now.